Anxiety has definitely been extremely detrimental to my life and the decisions that I made. One of those was being really obsessed with, saving money as basically an insurance policy against any potential detrimental outcome in my personal life. Obviously, I started working at 20, almost 26. That's when I first got my job. That's when I first got my first paycheck and experienced, how to handle money. And, obviously, that made me very conscious because I realized I had to work X amount of hours to earn this money. So it kind of made me see money as a precious resource to look after, and that could be useful in your personal welfare. And obviously, because of my anxiety, I was always disconnected from people. Always found it difficult to engage productively and in a friendly way. And that's because obviously my past experience, I wasn't really used to friendship or having people that cared about me and my well-being. So yeah, after a while, I realized that I just had to find any job that I could get, and the first job that I found that didn't require any qualification, didn't require any experience, didn't even require for you to do an interview, was Amazon. So when I went there, I was had low expectations about the job because I was thinking, who's gonna just hire somebody out from the streets without having really any expectations about work experience, personality, motivations. But when I went there, obviously, I was there. I tried to do my job, and it was a very negative environment. A lot of people were distressed, disgruntled, disillusioned by the work environment. And I kind of decided to just keep myself for myself as a result of that because I just didn't see anybody, like I said, finding fulfillment, enjoyment, or being happy to work for this particular organization. So I just, by my mind, I was like, I was alone. I didn't have anybody. So for me, it was very important to have a job. To do any kind of job was important to me just to keep me active and avoid me from basically thinking too much about the negatives of my life. So obviously, I was earning money. I was working full-time hours, 40, 50 hours a week. And because I was living with my parents, who both were not working but were on welfare, they kind of relied on their own on welfare money, so I didn't really need to worry about earning for them as well, to kind of sustain a family. So I was able to save that money. But then, because I found myself, because the job was through an agency, which means there was no real idea or how long it was going to last, I became really paranoid into thinking, what about if I'm going to be unemployed soon? What about if I can't rely on my parents because they don't, they're on welfare? They don't seem to be in a mentally, they don't seem to be trustworthy, reliable people, especially my father, who, never really worked in life, always, kind of made up, reasons that he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He was always victimizing himself in a way that of bad health or because the job market didn't appreciate the skills set that he had. There was always a reason, or because the job quality available wasn't good. There was always reasons for him to kind of sit at home doing nothing. And I kind of got fed up of it. I kind of realized this guy just, you can't rely on a person like this. So also because of all these factors, I realized I felt really isolated and alone because I was going in a workplace where I couldn't find like meaningful human uh, relationships, and also at home I was feeling really isolated, living with people who didn't seem to have any sense of accountability. So I just decided the only insurance policies that I have in life is that to save as much money as possible, so that if I find myself unemployed and alone, I will be able to have savings to live on. But over time, I always felt this way, because I was never really able to improve my job security, my work consistency. So after the Amazon job only lasted about 5 months, and then I found myself unemployed again for months and months, and then I found another job in a sandwich shop, and that didn't last long. It's just been if I look at my work history, it's just been a few months here and there, and nothing has been consistent over the last 10 years. So, ever since that time, I've been living in extreme anxiety and some moments where I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed because I was so demotivated, so uninspired, and so demoralized by my situation. Felt hopeless because I felt like I got nobody that really cares about me, legitimately cares about me. So what's the even point to get out of bed and making an effort, doing something for my day? And that's really been the story of my life ever since. Well, I mean, obviously before I became an adult, but ever since I've been an adult, I always felt a bit disgruntled and detached from people, whether it's family or when I went to workplaces. And I realized that fortunately we live in a service sector economy where most jobs, especially here in the UK, are in uh, low skilled markets. Like where I live, there's a lot of call centers, supermarkets, pubs, restaurants. Hostels, hotels. So all these jobs don't really require a lot of skills. Don't really require any skills. Just require somebody who's fit, healthy, has got true pair of hands and true pair of legs that work well. So you basically it doesn't take long to train someone. It only takes maybe a 1 or 2 day maximum, and then they're up to speed with the job and they can execute on the tasks. And that means that yeah, you kind of find this, you can find a lot of jobs, but at the same time, B, it means the employees don't have to worry about whether you like the job, whether you find fulfillment, whether you find it fair, reasonable, because they can always say, you know what, ultimately this job is not, mentally or physically complicated. We can always find somebody else to do it. And it's also, low paid. So I just felt really vulnerable in a way, vulnerable to being unemployed, vulnerable to not finding jobs because people wouldn't hire me because it was like, I'm thinking like there's dozens of other people who are probably applying for the same job. So why should they hire me? So, all these things that kind of made me really anxious and kind of vulnerable about my future. And I just tried to save as much as possible. And now, that I've hit six figures in sterling, I'm thinking, at least, I'm thinking that was the effort worth it? I think not, because I got, I still haven't improved my anxiety. I've got health problems. I haven't built any human connections. It's kind of been what they say, a Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhic is like a Greek word. It's spelled Pyrrhic, I think. Pyr. I think I might have spelled it incorrectly, but give or take, that's the rough spelling of it. And yeah, that's how my experience, my work experience has been. And saving up those money, I'm thinking I could die today and I haven't enjoyed a penny. I haven't enjoyed a moment of work. I never felt comfortable in any job. I never felt fulfillment in any job. I never saw a future in any job. I just took whatever job came my way just to A, keep active, and B, feel like I was earning some money, because ultimately success in life is predominantly driven by how much your job is worth in society and how much you're worth to society financially, because that's how you gain assets. That's how you can pay for things that you want or that are value to you. So that's the main predominant reason why I became obsessed with savings. But ultimately, I would seriously suggest that nobody follow this example, because this was something driven by my anxiety predominantly. My anxiety that where I struggled to find work, I struggled to connect with people. So because of that, I felt I was more in a handicap compared to others who could connect more effortlessly. It's definitely an extrovert society. This the more extroverted you are, the more confident speaker you are, uh, the more likely it is that you're going to make a good impression on people, and you're going to open up to people, and you're going to seek opportunities, whether it's work, whether it's relationships. And the more introverted you are, unfortunately, being an introvert, in my opinion, is an handicap. It really narrows down the opportunities, because you're obviously not going to, if you're an introvert, you're less likely to network, less likely to put your face out there, And it's very, because we live in a service sector economy. which is built on the foundations of which are built on relationships. Whether you're a politician, whether you're a businessman, you always have to put yourself out there, right? You have to communicate, and if you can't do that, I think you're going to struggle in life, and I think you're going to have a significantly there's a same high chance you're going to have an unfulfilling life relative to somebody who can put himself out there, who enjoys putting himself out there. So that's I would say that's my advice to somebody entering the workplace is, or somebody who's an introvert, is try to kind of embrace people as much as possible. Try to kind of promote yourself as much as possible. It was particularly if you have any skills, or if you know if you can communicate well, because otherwise you just become invisible. That's what happened to me here. My anxiety, my inclination to be an introvert, I think has really had a detrimental effect on me in that respect, and that's why I have to find myself so hopelessly alone. Obviously, that I'm a mature person. I've been doing this for a long time, many decades. I feel less bothered by it, but I know that it's really made me suffer for many, many years, and it's given me health problems. And it's something that I have to accept. That's how it. That's how it. That's in life, every choice you make has a price, whether it's imminently obvious or whether it comes about later. There's always a price to pay at some point based on the choices that you make. So my lesson is to kind of accept that this is a society where if you don't integrate with people, you're most likely going to be left behind, struggling to basically gain anything out of your life. So yeah, if there's anything that a person should think about is how to effectively communicate and promote themselves in society to uh, gain visibility, exposure to other people, and more opportunities, whether it's relationship or work. Anyway, thank you for listening, and yeah, let me know what how if you agree that if you're an introvert in particular, that been detrimental to your social and work opportunities and experiences.